Okay, that's you live.
Good evening and welcome to the 2017 live hustings for the Scottish Borders MSYP candidates. First of all, I'd like to get the candidates to introduce themselves, so I'll start going down the way with Tanya first.
I'm Tanya Thompson and I'm standing for Ettrick, Roxburgh, Berwickshire.
My name is Georgie Pritchard and I'm standing for Ettrick, Roxburgh, Berwickshire.
Hi, my name is Sana and I'm standing for Midlothian, South of Tweeddale and Lauderdale.
Hi, my name is Emma Dixon and I'm standing for Midlothian South, Tweeddale and Lauderdale.
Hi, I'm Callum and I'm standing for Midlothian South, Tweeddale and Lauderdale.
Each candidate is going to be invited up to give a 2-minute speech on why they're standing. And this time I'd like Callum to start, just to make his way to the lectern and address the audience.
Hi, I'm Callum. I'm standing for Midlothian South, Tweeddale and Lauderdale, as you said. I'd like to run as an MSYP to ensure that the youth voice is listened to, not disregarded. I'd also like to destigmatise mental health issues as they're not taken seriously by older generations. Say that the top 3 issues I care most about are youth work, making sure they get equal pay, safe work, health and well-being, human rights. I'd use the internet and word of mouth to gather views, opinions of some young people in the area, so that we can properly represent and make their voices heard in assemblies. I feel like voted for it as I've always been interested in gathering others' opinions, to get a greater understanding of what's around me, and so I feel natural curiosity and passion for actual good choice.
Hello, I'm Emma Dixon and I'm standing for Midlothian South, Tweeddale and Lauderdale. Primarily, I would like to stand as a member of the Scottish Youth Parliament because I think it is absolutely essential that young people's voices are heard in this day and age. As well as that, it would help give me an opportunity to build my confidence, which I found quite a big thing in growing up. As well as that, the role of being an MSYP would give me a greater role in my local community, whilst allowing other youths in my local area to have their voices heard. Although there's many issues which I think occur for young people in this area, my top 3 is education, and specifically introducing arts into the education system, health and well-being, and particularly mental health, and transportation. I think that it's essential to continue on the momentum built from other MSYPs in previous years over mental health. This is an ongoing issue in all young people's lives. And also, I think it's essential to introduce creativity into the education system much more, because I think that a lot more people are worth a lot more than what their exam results say. And this has been a big thing for me because music has been a big part of my life, and I think we're almost overlooked sometimes in the education system. And I think transportation in the Scottish Borders in particular is very essential because often young people can't drive, and the buses are very inconsistent and very expensive. So this is definitely something that we could work on. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sana and I'm running for Midlothian, South of Tweeddale and Lauderdale. I want to be an MSYP because I feel like the voices of youth matter, especially in Scottish Borders. We're not very a big part of Scotland, but I feel like we can have a really large impact. Scotland are very influential, even though they don't really know it yet. I feel like I want to spread that word and let them know that they actually do have an impact on Scotland. The 3 main issues that matter to me are education, which mainly around BSc and what they teach youth and health and well-being surrounding mental health and LGBT rights. Education mainly because I feel like PSB should also bring in like more life skills for the for young people, as well as education on around LGBT. Not many people actually know what gender identity is or sexuality identity is. I feel like if they explain it better, it'd be easier. Also, mental health, because struggling with mental health is really hard, and not knowing a place where you can go and help get that sorted out can be very difficult to deal with. Also LGBT rights, because I feel like no one should be discriminated against due to their gender identity or their sexuality or anything like that, because a person is a person at the end of the day and they deserve to be treated equally. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Georgia and I want to be an MSYP. People's voices heard and make sure that they're listened to in the community. I want to make sure that schools and work are made a safer and happier place to be. And the three main issues are rights, education, and health and well-being. Health and well-being focused on mental health, so because I want to make sure that young people have a better support, and education because I think everyone should have like a better, the same education and a better education, and rights because I want to make sure that young people are listened to and like taken seriously. Thank you.
I'm Tanya Thompson. I want to be an MSYP because I believe as young people we have very loud voices and our voices aren't heard enough. I want to be the person to give youth a voice. I want to make a positive change in the community. The three main issues for me are bullying, mental health, and the reputation that young people have in the community. I want to communicate with youth through going to schools and also social media.
Thank you everyone for your opening speeches. Now we're going to invite questions from the floor and Twitter. Each candidate will be invited to give a short 30-second answer to each question. And if anyone has a burning desire to speak first, raise your hand. If not, I'm going to pick on someone, sorry. So to start off, I'm going to ask, how do you feel about the current refugee crisis? Do you feel that the UK government has an obligation to improve its contribution to resettling of the world's displaced people? Georgia?
I think that the Scottish government has a right has an obligation to rehome everybody because we, as like humans, we should be helping others, and I feel that we should be helping everybody because they come here for home and safety, and we can't just turn them away. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Georgia. Like, we are one of the countries that are currently bombing Syria, and we're refusing some of them homes and refuge, which I truly disagree with, because I feel like if we're going to destroy some of their homes and schools and hospitals and places of worship, I feel like we should at least provide them with new ones. I know it's not entirely Scotland, or I know Scotland was totally against it, but then again, everyone's human at the end of the day. Everyone should be accepted, no matter race, religion, and they've been through, they've been living in a war zone, so you can't even imagine the trauma they've been through. So I feel like if Scotland and the Scottish Youth Parliament and the Scottish Parliament all work together on a plan, maybe we could actually bring change to their lives and benefit like the youth of Scotland's life.
I definitely think that the Scottish Government have an obligation to help people coming in from Syria and other places, all the refugees, because as the Human Rights Act states, in this country everyone has a right to life, and no matter who you are, no matter where you are from, I think you deserve to have life. And we've got a lot of land here in Scotland, we've got a lot of different accommodations, and I think it's I just think we should let in everybody that comes, because really I think everyone deserves to live, and if that could just as easy be me, everyone's human, and everyone deserves to live.
Personally, I feel the way that the UK government has treated Syrian refugees is absolutely disgraceful. Sense of sending away people who we have aided to falling off, especially when it comes to home schools, previously said, place of worship, it wasn't segregated, on politically neutral hospitals. So I feel that after doing that, or at least aiding doing that, I have a certain obligation to help them sort of settle, get their life back on track.
Totally agree with what everybody said. I just want to add that I feel that if it was somebody that we knew, we'd be desperate to help them. And I think that everybody has family and we need to help, and we need to help those in need.
That's great. So do we have any questions from the Twitter feed or anything? Not yet, okay. We've got a few here. So, in the Scottish Youth Parliament Manifesto, it discusses the right of all peoples to have effective PSHE. What do you feel should be included in PSHE to make it up to date and like more relevant to today's young people? Does anyone want to go first?
I think PSE should include more life skills, instead of just focusing on what they focus on now, like exams and results. And they should help in any way they can to make sure that when we leave school, we do have a place to go and a place to, and like skills to continue on. And I think that's what lots of people struggle with because they haven't been taught in school. And so I think PSE is an important subject, and we should pay more attention to what they're taught instead of just throwing it away like we do now.
Yeah, I agree. Like PSE has an obligation to teach the youth of Scotland and the borders as well, like how to actually live life outside of school and outside of their parents and their safety net. Also, like I feel like they should introduce more things about LGBT. There's so many people that don't actually understand what LGBTQ+ is, and I feel like especially because the population is growing and more people are feeling comfortable with their gender and their sexuality, and like they should be taught exactly what everything is and who and the pronouns that are associated with gender identity and yeah, that sort of thing, because that's very important, especially for those who are LGBT. They may feel secluded because they don't get enough recognition in school. I know there are schools out there that are attempting this, but I feel like it should be more associated within school and PSE.
I also think that it's not just about what they teach I think it's about how they teach it and the materials that they use. It's quite backdated, I feel. It needs to be more recent and more recent information. I think that I agree that it shouldn't just be focused on like exams and stuff. It should be more on life skills and how we can progress from school.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Tanya there. I think that everything can't just be one exam fits all. And I think that PSHE needs to teach about life skills, such as different, even simple things like how to pay tax or how to set up a different bank account. I just left school a couple of years ago, and it's quite scary going out and not knowing these sort of things, and sort of just having to learn the hard way. And I think that that's very outdated, just sort of skip that. Everything's so fast moving now, and it's often difficult to keep up as a young person, trying to balance studies and work, and also trying to just step into the adult world. So I definitely think that PSHE needs to be modernised to help young people learn the life skills they really need.
While useful, it could definitely include more up-to-date and relevant content. For example, in S1 and S2, you'll learn about sex and drugs and stuff. You'll learn about how sex need protection, etc., and most safe. And as far as drugs go, they go reach a limit telling you if they're bad, don't do them. Here's what will happen if you do them, don't do them. However, it's probably tell you more than
that. Can I invite a question before? This side? Yeah.
Okay, many of you mentioned transport on the borders. What would you do to try and make transport more accessible and cheaper for young people?
Can I ask Emma to comment on this first?
Well, I definitely think that it's essential to make public transport, much cheaper. I think I would propose a sort of almost a discount for young people because, well, as I think every young person knows, driving is very expensive. Getting lessons, getting insurance, getting a car, it's often completely not affordable. And as well as that, we're often focused a lot on our studies and not on full-time jobs. So it's very difficult to afford that, but then public transport isn't really that cheap either. So I think I would propose for a discount for young people in this area and probably the whole of Scotland, because especially we've got quite long journeys. It costs about £11 to get from Galashiels into Edinburgh, maybe even more. And I just think that's an outrageous amount of money to ask a young person to pay for transport, which they really need. So I would propose that, and I would also propose maybe just more numerous buses. I know from where I live in a small village called West Linton, just on the side of the Scottish borders. And I know there's only one bus every hour, and I think that's why not a lot of people use the public transport. And I think if we introduced much more buses, people would rely on it much greater. So I don't think there would be a loss of money for the bus company because more people would be using it. So I propose more buses at a cheaper rate for young people.
Yeah, I also agree. Like a lot of my friends live in Harriet and Gala and Tweeddale. They introduced the train, but it just bypasses Harriet, and because of that, they've decreased buses going there. And not actually thinking people would actually want to go there as a destination, which many people actually do, because there's actually loads of people that live there. Not as many as the people that live in Gala, but there's so many people. And I think that's very strange because it's limiting the access to a village in the borders, which I think it shouldn't be allowed. Also, the fares are really expensive, and also the quality of the buses, like seats, you could be getting on from Gala and going to Edinburgh, and it takes over an hour, and it's really uncomfortable. I also feel like they should make it more comfortable for like everyone, not just young people. And also feel like we should have, we have young Scot cards, but during peak times we're not allowed to use them on the trains, and I think that's not fair because we don't have full-time jobs. We can't afford as much as older people can. And especially at the age of 16, as soon as you hit 16, you're classed as an adult, which I don't think is fair because a lot of people that are 16 are still in school and can't get a full-time job. And people that are even older, they're probably still some are still in unis and they still can't afford it. Therefore, I feel like they should lower the prices as well as make the transport a lot more comfortable and stop limiting transport to certain places.
I agree with everyone else's side, but my course of action would be to, as it's been said already, to put more buses in different times and to make a discount. So, as it's said, we can't get the bus all the time, and it's hard to get. It's hard to get to place, even when we out of school. So I would say a discount because then more people would actually use the buses instead of just getting in a car. Thank you.
I agree with Sana's point that we can't afford the buses all the time, and when it's essential buses, it needs to be affordable for us, and not all of us have jobs that can pay for that. And definitely a discount is 100% needed for young people. Bus times as well need to be more regular for convenience. I believe that.
Personally, I think that bus timetables are often very slow late to arrive. That's a bit of generalisation, but I've been able to arrive or late. And even when you do arrive from Hoxton to Edinburgh, you're looking for about 10 quid for a return, which is a bit ridiculous.
Do we have another question from the floor? Yeah, in the front.
We live in a very rural community, and many young people leave the borders because they feel there is nothing here for them. What would you do to try and change this?
Okay, so Zana, would you like to go first?
Well, I feel like if we introduce more things into the borders, and then it will also attract tourism, which will boost the local economy. Currently in Galashiels, we only have a cinema, and for the youth, we have a TD Youth Club, and that it's quite small, the place that it is, and there's a lot of youth here. There's in the borders, there's a academies, and there's not many things for young people to do, and that can like lead to antisocial behaviour, and that's not good. I feel like if we introduce like more things, so like not just the train, so everyone can leave the borders and go to Edinburgh for something more interesting. I feel like if we bring down more companies here into the local area, which introduce more activities for the youth, and also incorporate things within the schools to pique people's interests. And I feel like that would be a good way to keep the youth here happy, and it'll actually help in the future, because they'll think this is a good place to raise my child. Because I know right now loads of people are like, no, I don't like it here, there's not a lot of things to do for them.
Where I live in Jed, there's only a few things that bring tourists in, like Castle and the Queen of Scots House. And I think if we bring more, as Sam said, companies here, and more like activities to do, because in Jed it's very boring, and I think we should bring more just activities so we can so people aren't just going up to Edinburgh for a day out, and for people to actually stay there and not have just be bored out of their minds. So I would say bring more companies and activities down to the borders.
I think this question partially links to my proposal of more arts and education system as well. I think that it's essential to introduce more youth clubs, more sort of drama clubs and stuff like that into this area, to sort of nurture young talent in this area. I think there's a lot of talented youngsters who go elsewhere to nurture their talents, such as music. There's not a lot really for young people to do here, and I think if we did introduce more after school activities, or more sort of clubs like dance clubs or orchestras or small ensembles, that would really keep people in this area, because it feels like as though they were needed, as though there was something for them to do in this area. So yeah, that's what I would propose.
I think what's also an issue is there are certain activities to do in the borders, but even within the borders it's fairly large, not very densely populated area. So if there is something on that's on, say, Jed, it's a bit out of the way. So I think bringing more, not just more youth clubs, but more local youth clubs to the rural areas, maybe not even a specific building, there's town halls in pretty much every small village, which can certainly house it. So I think more funding should be poured into activities for youths to keep board.
I know in Hoyk there's a huge development in the local park, which has brought a new play area for the younger kids and a brand new cafe for people. And I think that will really benefit Hoyk, the place, and it will bring tourists down, because the park is very large. It's a very amazing place to be. And I definitely think that more activities are essential for the young people. Also, you do hear about activities going around, but they're very expensive to be a part of, and I think that is also a turn off for people. I think schools need to get involved more with out of school and how people behave at school. So yes, I definitely think it's essential for our school clubs are developed in the future.
Okay, now we have a question from Twitter, from Liam Beattie. With the voting age now 16 in local and Holyrood elections, what's the next campaign to engage more young people in politics? I think Emma would like to start.
I think that we should make politics much more accessible to young people, so sort of engage it much more in the schools. I think this sort of links to the PSHE question, as making it much more modern. Politics is becoming a big thing in today's society, especially with Brexit and the independence referendum. And I think it's important that young people understand about politics more, and I think that links to PSHE and making it more modern. I also think that politicians should be more involved with the schools and with young people's voices, getting them heard. So I definitely think that it would be politicians should sort of visit around the schools and stuff. But yeah, I think there's a lot of momentum gathering with young people and politics, and I think more young people are becoming interested in politics, which is a really good sign. But definitely introducing it more into the school system would help a lot.
I think one major issue with campaigns for growing political awareness is that when schools teachers have to remain politically neutral, so it's become really hard to talk about politics without even a slight bit of bias. But as far as
Yeah, like I agree. Like politics is very important, and like it actually affects everything that we do. I do modern studies, and modern studies is huge on politics, and especially in Scotland and the UK as a whole. And I feel like if we make it like a mandatory subject, like English or maths, I feel like people would benefit from this, because then they'd actually understand how our government works, not just the Scottish Parliament, but like Westminster as well, and how that affects the lives of young people. By doing this, they can decide to do it as like a national flag or higher, like I have, and I find it really, really interesting. I feel like if we introduce it at a younger age as well, not just when you're in high school, it might pique the interest of many people, because I know many people now are like, oh, I can't be a politician, you have to be rich, you have to grow up in a really privileged family, when that's not actually the case. Yes, the majority of politicians are, but if more people in like schools, like in a rural area, like try to participate in politics, there'd be more and more politicians from these areas, and it wouldn't just be from those from a privileged background. Yeah.
I completely agree with what Sana said, because I think we should introduce it at a younger age to make it more exciting, because I've had an interest because I was introduced to it in primary school, and then I think if we introduce it younger, more people will be interested in it. I think we should make it more accessible through stuff like PSE and modern studies, because I know lots of people take that pay like attention to it if it's in school and they don't have to do it themselves. So I think we should make it more accessible and a bit more exciting to pique more people's interest and get their interest in politics.
I have to admit, I've got a way better understanding of politics through modern studies, and I definitely think that the lack of essential modern studies in schools is affecting the young people, because not many people have an understanding of what actually happens. Need to be more aware, and the politicians need to engage more with the young people, which we're also here for, MSYPs, to get our voices heard. But I think that they definitely need to be more interactive with the young people around Scotland.
That's great, I think. You have another question coming in from Twitter? Thank you. So, question from Hannah. What will you do to improve our education system and extracurricular activities? So this kind of relates to the idea of the PSHE before and also the activities for younger people to stay in the area. So does anyone want to come in on this first? Yep.
That question was actually from my sister. So, well, I know my sister, she enjoys dancing so much, so like Emma said, like more arts as well. I feel like if there are like more introduced into like schools, like for after school as well, and then you could actually get a qualification from it. My sister got a leadership qualification, and now she can work and teach younger kids how to dance, which she enjoys. So like I feel like we introduce more of those sort of things, and so that young kids, I know a lot of young kids just focus like, what can I do to make my CV look good? What can I do that can help me get into university? If we incorporate that with like the arts or with things that young people would actually enjoy, I feel like that would definitely increase like people actually turning up and showing up because they're like, oh, I can do this. This will help me in my future. This will help me get into university and actually achieve what I want to achieve. So I feel like that'd be a very beneficial way. Also with education, I feel like if we get like more people's input on what they think is right and what they think needs improved within the schools, I would communicate that with the Scottish Parliament and then hopefully improve it on what they think needs to be changed.
Coming from like what Sam said, I think it's so important for people to have more extracurricular activities like drama, for instance, because I want from someone who wants to has grown up with drama and wants to like take drama to higher education. I think there should be more clubs and after school activities for people. So things like music, drama, and sports. I know there's a lot of sports right now, but I think there should be more arts and activities.
I think essentially we get the input from young people themselves and see what they want as extracurricular activities and see what the interests are there apart from the sports side of it, which is quite popular. Because there's a lot of people that have other interests and I don't feel that's taken into consideration as much.
I think as well as being accessible, it has to be affordable. So either free or at a reasonable rate, because that'll make a lot more young people become involved in the extracurricular activities. And it will definitely make it much more accessible for young people and make them much more want to stay in the area and just generally do things like drama and music, which I think is essential in this day and age.
I think the stance taken by most organisers is that it will, especially for borders, like I said before, it's not very densely populated area, so more organisations who are creating clubs and that will all be based in Edinburgh. It'll be closer to headquarters, or it'll be easier to get venues with decent internet connections or whatever we need. So I think that while, yeah, it'd be great to have more activities, I just don't think there's enough actual room to support the activities within the borders.
Do we have another question from the floor? Yes, down the front.
How will you encourage young people to go to arts-based courses that are already running in the borders, say for example, Border Theatre or FOMO, etc.? How will you encourage young people to go to those and keep them running?
Georgia, would you like to start?
I would encourage people to go to stuff like FOMO and BYT through showing them that it is fun, and because we're doing like a pantomime right now, so it's showing them that it's not boring and it's not full of just one type of person. so we can show them that lots of people come from different backgrounds, and it doesn't matter the skills or the lifestyle that they lead right now. It's something that you can do and improve, and I think so they can grow in confidence and be more happier with themselves because they know that they can achieve this stuff. So I think I would encourage people to go through and showing them that what they can achieve through the courses like BOMO and BYT.
Like I agree with Georgia there. Also, I feel like if we increase like posters and advertising in a general way, I feel like people would actually know these things are there. I know many people that actually don't know that these things are there, and they're really into like theatre and all those sort of things. And I'm like, well, you should do this, and they're like, wait, what's that? How do I get a part of it? And then I have to kind of like tell them how to do it. And they're like, oh, how did you know about that? Even though personally I'm not into theatre, I'm more into politics, that's why I'm doing this. Also, like, I feel like young people should to keep like these things running. I feel like if they produce things, maybe if you like send it out to schools to show or to tell them, oh, this is happening with these, then people would actually go and people can buy tickets to it, and that will actually keep up the funding as well. So I feel like that's very beneficial for these programs to continue.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Sana there that the schools should definitely get much more on board with these sort of things to help with the advertising and to also show that it is beneficial, not just for your CV, but for your whole personality to actually do something that maybe pushes you out with your comfort zone. So definitely advertising is a big thing, and maybe even sort of just have some come along days, sort of videos, just to show everyone else what's really going on with these different groups. So yeah.
I think that there's a lot to be achieved on social media when it comes to sharing. It's like, even though there's a big presence, people might feel reluctant to share stuff. So it's a certain lack of knowledge about it, because nobody shares it. So nobody knows to share it.
I think I'd just like to echo what everybody usually says, to be honest. That I think that the clubs should maybe go into the schools more and show what they're all about. I know that a club in Hoyt has went to primary schools and has since then got a lot more younger kids involved. I think that would definitely work for the older, like teenagers and stuff, and going into schools and talking to people and getting them on board as well as being there, they need to again advertise and show what they're all about, and I think that's very beneficial.
Do we have another question from the floor?
We have a question from Twitter.
Oh,
This is a question from Ben Seabrook, and he wants to know, what is your stance on how students with mental health and physical health issues are supported within our current education system, and how might you improve this?
okay. Can I ask Lana to start first?
Well, I feel like physical health is like a very big factor in mental health. So like if personally I would try and get schools to bring on more programs and not just like at my school, our school nurse has a drop-in session, but that's only held once a week, and I feel like that's more about anything in general. I feel like if maybe they had like a drop-in box, or like so it's anonymous, because loads of people that do have mental health issues, they don't like the stigma surrounded by it. So I try and prevent the stigma and like, kind of destroy it in a way, like so nobody's actually ashamed to have a mental health issue, but at least you know it's normal. and these things happen to, not just to young people but to everyone, especially like now with physical health as well. If someone feels like they need improvements, maybe they can talk to like, the PE staff, or if they need help with stuff like that. Even if it's like they don't want to do it, maybe again a drop-in box or something, and they just have like a weekly thing saying, okay, these are answers to these questions, and then that way people will get answers to the questions they actually have without actually knowing who to set those questions in.
I think that's right with what she's saying, and I think
It keeps cutting off.
I think I want to say what Sana said, and she is I think we should support people with mental health issues at school, because I know that it can be scary, obviously, with exams right now and prelims and that pressure added on. I think we should support by training. I think showing PSE teachers that there are hidden like messages, and show people things even and show more people in schools and work that how to support people with mental and physical issues. So I think that's what we should make sure everyone knows what's happened, and just support everybody just so they can have a better time at doing what they're doing.
I know in my school we have now got a mental health first aider. Limited time, it's only once a week, which I think is not enough. I also feel that the staff in the school needs to be made more aware of how mental health can affect each individual person in the classroom. So I think definitely getting that staff training is essential. And I think PSE teachers need to be, again, as George said, more like aware of the signs, the hidden signs, and yeah, I think it's very essential that people need to be made more aware of things, and young people need to be like made more aware of mental health around the school, and the stigma is unbelievable, and I think this needs to be challenged in schools.
In this situation, I definitely think prevention is much better than cure. I think that it's essential to tackle mental health issues as soon as we see them, and to be able to speak much more openly about them. So I think that we need to be able to talk about them so much as so that they don't actually affect young people before it gets too late almost. So definitely help prevent it before it really needs cured. And that sort of links into what I was saying right at the very start, that I would like to try and continue on the momentum from other MSYPs and their tackling mental health. So definitely preventing the mental health before it needs cured, before it affects young people in their studies in such a vital time in their life.
Personally, I think that a lot of mental health is, while it's hard to speak up about it, most people don't realise they may have a mental health issue due to the low amount of participants on them. So I think that within the education system, teachers could definitely do a lot more to be more careful about mental health and how what we can do can affect young students. But we should also be educating children that don't stress over exams while important or not all that important.
Youth workers are seen as a lifeline to many young people, and they're only need to support outside their family and school. But youth work is being cut across the UK. What do you think Scottish Youth Parliament could do to persuade government to stop cutting services and invest in young people?
So I imagine most of you have had experience with youth work, considering youth workers have helped us organise this event tonight. So would anyone like to come in first on that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like I feel like youth work is like a vital part for like young people in the whole of Scotland, not just the borders. I would probably like work a lot with like my constituency on this matter and get their views upon it, and then like communicate that with the Scottish Youth Parliament, and then we could work all together as a team to figure out a plan or like some sort of action that we could take in order to prevent the cuts on youth workers. Because youth workers are very vital for young people. They actually help us with like problems, or like not just problems, like with things that we want to develop or learn in our local area, or like not even just that. So they're a huge part in young people's life, and they're very vital for us to do many things.
I agree with what Simon said, and I think we should each with our constituency talk to them and make sure that they know that they are getting cut and that we need to do something about it. And I think we should go to Scottish Borders and Scottish Government and imply that we are getting some means of talking to people outside. We're getting youth workers cut, and that they can be a lifeline for young people. And that's going, if they keep cutting work for them, that young people's lives are going to be affected, and we need to still have these people. And
I think I'd like to talk to the constituency and get some first-hand feedback on how youth workers have benefited young people in the community, and take that first-hand experience to the government and prove to them that youth workers are essential in young people's lives. And I think if we get enough feedback, and we can definitely take it further and get the cuts cancelled, basically, and just get youth workers stuck where they should be and where it's going to, like, how it's going to benefit us.
I think we just need to make clear that youth workers do help the next generation. It just sort of help find themselves a little bit. I think we need to show to the government how much we appreciate their work and how much it actually helps us grow up. This is a vital time in our lives. We're studying, facing exams which will essentially change our lives, help us get into university, help us to go further than that. And I think youth workers help support us so much in that. And I think cutting the amount of youth workers is going to have such a big impact on so many young people. So I definitely think we should make absolutely clear that that we need them, that we appreciate the work they do.
I think that young people maybe don't appreciate youth workers as much as they should, especially considering that most young people don't know the effort that goes into planning working, like events such as Scottish Youth Parliament, local youth clubs, etc. So I think the fact that there could be cuts towards youth workers is an absolute disgrace to the next generation. Because youth workers are training us to go on and become adults.
Unfortunately, that's our last question as we've run out of time. But we still have enough time to have each candidate give a short 1-minute summary about why anyone should be voting for them in the upcoming elections. So can we start with Emma?
vote for me because I'm deeply passionate about having a much greater role in the local community. I'm a relatively quiet person and I would love to build my confidence, but I'm also very determined. I'm currently a law student at Stirling University, and to get into that I've had to work extremely hard. I know what hard work is, and I never do anything by half. So I'm also good at working in a team. I play in a band called Coda, and I have done since I was about 7 years old, so I know that teamwork is sometimes the only way to achieve something. So I'm definitely a good team player. So yeah, I think you should vote for me because I'm just so passionate about young people in this community. Thank you.
I think you should vote for me because I'd really like to try my best to improve the perception of youth within the older generation's community, especially considering the living wage youth work. As the minimum wage for a 16-year-old is £4 an hour, which is good and all. However, if you're trying to get to Edinburgh, that's £4 to £10 for a return. You're working 2.5 hours to get to Edinburgh and back, and that's going to count what you're actually spending on. So I'd really try my best to improve youth work rates and
No, second.
I feel like you should vote for me because I will listen to everyone and I will deal with their problems as my own. I will try and address the problems that my constituents give to me because their views are so vital to what I will do as an MSYP. The whole point I want to be one is because I feel like I can benefit the young people's life in my constituency. The life definitely needs some improvements. There's a lot of things that we can do if we all work together and improve. I would definitely inform you on what I was actually currently doing, and I will conduct surveys to get your viewpoint on many things that I actually want to do. I'm a very hard-working person. I've had a job at my family restaurant since I was 13 years old. So this is my 3rd year now, because I'm 16 now. And I work extremely hard. I work every weekend, so I actually don't really have a social life, which I don't mind because all the other time I would actually use to revise. But hopefully now I can actually use it to be an MSYP and actually benefit those in my constituency. Thank you.
I think you should vote for me because I'm passionate about the rights and treatment of young people and make sure that they're not underestimated and that they're not put down as second-class citizens just because we're younger than everybody. I'm hardworking and I'm passionate about making sure the young people are treated right and that they have equal opportunities. I make sure that young people don't or have always got someone to talk to and always have the support that they need. And I make sure that the mental health and like health of what young people are supported and they have the right support in place. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
I think you should vote for me because as a young person, I can relate to the struggles that young people go through. I'm passionate about what I campaign for, and I want to give these a voice and take up their problems with people that can make a difference to their lives. I want to make a positive difference to the community and Scotland as a whole, and I want to listen and I'm going to change.
I'd like to thank all the candidates for their contributions tonight and also the audience and those of you online for asking some very thought-provoking questions that I'm sure have helped you understand more about the candidates' campaigns. So thank you everyone, and that concludes tonight's Hustings.